Hi, it's Divyajyoti Mahapatra. Welcome to my channel DJM Physics.
These are actually how the registers looks like. Okay, and in this diagram also you can see how it is used in the circuit. It is encircled with that orange circle. Okay, so how these resistors or what are the work of these resistors actually? See this diagram clearly. There is Mr. Volt, Mr. Ampere and Mr. Ohm. Okay, you can see that Mr. Volt is trying to push Mr. Ampere, but Mr. Ohm is opposing his motion. He is not trying to let him go. In the exact similar way, in a circuit, this battery or this potential difference, the current and the resistance work. Okay, the potential difference always try to increase the current, or V is always directly proportional to current, but the resistance is there which is always try to oppose the motion of the current. Now let us see this picture. In this picture we can see that the battery is there which is trying to pull the red balls, those are electrons, and the battery, you can see that battery you can compare like it is taking the charges from lower potential to the higher potential, and the the charges are flowing, but the resistor is there which is zigzag. Okay, and it is providing some resistance or some opposition to the motion. That is how a resistor actually works. Okay, and this diagram, if you see this previous diagram and this diagram, you will have some idea how what a resistor actually work or actually do in an electric circuit. Now let us understand a very small example. You are taking a very small LED bulb, and as we know that LED bulb can act or can work properly in 2-3 volt. Okay, but you want to use that with that 240 volt circuit, 240 volt circuit that is available in your home. Now if you directly put that inside that LED inside the socket, then it will burn, because that much current will flow and it cannot withstand that current. But if anyhow I can decrease the current, and how to do that? If I will use that LED with a resistor and then I will use in the circuit, then that resistor is going to decrease the current and it will make the LED safe. That is where actually LED is used. The resistor is used. And in each and every electronic apparatus you are seeing around you, it may be a charger, it may be a cell phone, it may be your laptop, it may be a mouse, it may be a LED light, it may be a charge light, it may be a fridge, it may be AC. Everywhere, every electrical and electronic device uses resistor. Maybe in some cases the resistors will be small, and in some cases the resistors will be very large one. They may have different shape, but in normal resistors I have shown you in the first diagram, they are some bean like structures, as I have shown in the first diagram. So now let us understand the theory part for this chapter. Okay,
Ohm's law. It is a very basic law that we have already learned in class 10, but here in this part we will learn it in a more elaborated method and with many small points that we can know by using Ohm's law. Okay. So what is Ohm's law? If you try to define, then it is very simple. The current flowing through a conductor, okay, the current flowing through a conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference across the terminals of the conductor. Okay, the potential difference across the terminal of the conductor. Let it is a conductor, okay, and through this let I amount of current is flowing, and the potential difference across these 2 points is let V. Then I can tell that I is directly proportional to V, or I can also tell V is directly proportional to I. Okay, so from here I can write V equal to a proportionality constant into I. So this is the proportionality constant in the equation, and here this proportionality constant is known as resistance of the material. Okay, it is known as the resistance of the material. Now remember that Ohm's law is only applicable at a constant temperature, means in the definition you have to mention that V is directly proportional to I at constant temperature. That also you have to mention, because this expression does not hold good for changing temperature. This is only applicable at a constant temperature, that V equal to Ri. And also remember that this resistance does not depend upon V and I. Although I can write the expression of R equal to V by I here, be very careful and remember that it does not depend upon the expression of V and I. Resistance is constant for a conductor. If you change the potential, accordingly the current will change, and this R will going to be constant. Means if, let for example I am telling, if it is 2, it is 3, then R equal to 2 by 3. If you will make it as 4, then it will automatically become 6, and again the resistance is going to be constant. Okay, so resistance is not going to change for a conductor unless and until you change the conductor itself. Or for now you just remember that this R depends on the length of the conductor, that is L, depends on area of cross section of the conductor. Okay, not the total area, remember, area of cross section of the conductor, that is A, and the material of the conductor, in which material it is made up of, whether it is made up of copper or iron or aluminium, on that. So remember, although R equal to V by I, R does not depend upon voltage and current. If voltage changes, current also will change automatically in such a way that the R is going to be constant. R or this resistance only depends upon these three quantities. Okay, now let us understand it by using a water mechanism. Okay, let there is a tank here. Okay, one water tank is here, and from here there is a pipe. Here the water is up to this level. Okay, and here there is another bucket to which water is flowing, and here you are keeping a piston. Okay, here I am using a piston. In this part I am using a piston, and this piston is completely airtight, means there no water can flow out through this part. Okay, it is completely tight with the pipe. Okay. Now when water will flow through this pipe, okay, that water, how much water will flow through this pipe, that depends on two things. One is this voltage, or one is this height. For now I am just writing it as height of the water level. Okay, and one more thing, that is this resistance. If you press this piston more, then obviously it will take more place here. It will come like this up to this much level. So the flow of water will decrease, because water can flow now only through this much area. Okay, now if you take this piston outside, then obviously the water can flow through this total area like this, and more water can come out. Here I am comparing the amount of water. Here I am comparing the amount of water with the flow of charge, or with charge. So more amount of charge is flowing, or I can tell more current is flowing, because current is nothing but flow of the charges. And this height, I am comparing this height as the potential, and I am comparing this as the resistance. This is the resistance, or that is going to oppose the motion. And you can see, if the level of the water decreases, okay, if the level of water is here, then the water will, in this side, water will flow slowly. Okay, means if potential decreases, then current also decreases, or I can write the current is directly proportional to potential. Okay, similarly, if the resistance increases, okay, then current decreases, because if you push it below, then obviously the less amount of water can come out. It means I can tell that this current is inversely proportional to the resistance. If resistance increases, current will decrease, and if you take this resistance or pull this resistance upward, then more water will flow. Means if resistance will be less, current will be more, and if resistance is more, current is less. So from these two I can write I equal to V by R, and this is the same expression, V equal to Ri or I equal to V by R. So that is the expression we are writing here, V equal to Ri. Okay. So you can compare this flow of current with the flow with the water mechanism. Okay, where you are comparing the height with the potential, amount of water as the amount of charge, so flow of water as the current, and the resistance, this piston. Here also it is resistance, and in current circuit also it can be resistance. What do you mean by resistance? Resistance is some opposition provided in the circuit or providing anywhere else. If someone is opposing you, then I can tell that he is providing some resistance to me. Okay. So this common meaning, resistance is a common word, a common English word also, not only a physics word. Okay. Now you see that if the potential changes, current will change. Okay. But if you change the potential or the height or the amount of water, this resistance is not going to change. Resistance depends how much it is going to be pushed inside. This resistance, amount of resistance here does not depend upon V, neither on I. Where I depends upon R, but R does not depend upon I. How much current will flow, that will depend upon the R. If R will be more, current will be less. If R will be less, current will be more. But remember, R does not depend upon the amount of current. Okay. R only depends upon the material, how much pressure you are applying. If more pressure you are applying, or if you are keeping here a larger object, then the resistance will be more. Exactly in similar way, in a current circuit also resistance does not depend upon potential and current, rather it depends upon the material length and area of cross section. We will prove this also in another way. Let us check how to prove that on which quantity this resistance depend on. Let us prove it. And for the proof, I am going to use one relation that we have already proved, that I equal to NEA Vd. This we have proved in the last class. What is I? Current. N is the electron density. E is the charge of electron. A is the area of cross section, and Vd is the drift velocity. So we are going to use this equation to derive the expression of resistance, or to check on which quantity resistance depends on. Okay. Now let us do that. From the expression I equal to NEA Vd. Okay. And also we have derived one more equation where we have proved that Vd can be written as E into V into tau divided by M into L. You can go and check the last video, you will find this. What is here? E is charge of an electron, V is the potential difference across the conductor, tau is the relaxation time, M is the mass of electron, and L is the length of the conductor. Okay. So if you put it here in this part, then you will get I equal to N into E into A into E V tau divided by M into L. Remember, while you are writing the expression, remember what these terms mean. Don't only mug these up. Try to understand all the meaning of the terms. Okay. Now if you write this expression, from this expression I can take this V. Okay, let me write it like this. I can write it as I equal to here N E square A V tau divided by M into L. Now let me write the expression of V by I. Here V is there. Take I to this side and all other string to this side. What you will get? ML divided by N E square A tau. Okay. And in this expression, what is V by I now? We have defined this V by I as resistance. So Ri got as ML divided by NE square A tau. Now check whether all these values are constants or not. M, mass of electron, constant. While current will flow, mass of electron will not change. Neither the length of conductor will change. Neither the electron density, charge of electron, area of cross section, relaxation time. Nothing is going to change from here. It means this ratio, V by I ratio, is going to be a constant for one conductor until you are going to change anything from here. See, this mass of electron, charge of electron, these are complete constant. Now the length, electron length and area depends upon how or which conductor you are taking, how long or how thick conductor you are taking. Now this n and tau, electron density and relaxation time, these two terms depends on which material you are taking, whether you are taking aluminium or copper or silver or something else. So this V by I ratio is a complete constant which does not depend upon actually V or I, it depends upon the material what you are taking, and this is the proof that R is material specific or the object specific. What object you are taking, depending on that R can be defined. Okay. Now this expression I can also rearrange in this way, and I can write it as R equal to m by n e square tau into L by A. Okay, what I have done here? Now these quantities depends upon the material, and these two depends upon the object. What do you mean by material and object? Kindly let me clarify. If you are taking a silver cylinder, okay, let a silver material, silver cylinder, or if you are taking a silver cylinder like this, okay, both are having different area of cross section, both are having different length, okay, but for both, for this and for this, m, n, e, tau, all these terms are going to be constant. So these terms depends upon the material of the object, okay, and these two terms depends upon the particular object that you are taking, particular wire or object. Okay, and here I can write that this term, okay, as what I can write this as R equal to rho into L by A. Now what is rho? Rho is known as the resistivity. What is rho? Rho is known as the resistivity or specific resistance. Specific resistance. Okay, and this particular parameter only depends upon the material, not on any other object. Rho only depends upon the material, and also on temperature. On the temperature dependence we will learn later. Okay, so this is also one more expression of R. R equal to rho into L by A, where rho is known as resistivity or specific resistance of the material. And also I can write from here, I can write this is rho. What is rho? Rho equal to m by n e square tau. So by using this formula you can find the value of rho for any kind of material. Remember, this is specific. For silver there is 1 rho, for iron there is 1 rho, whatever material. If this is silver, this is silver, how much thick you take, how much length you take, the value of rho is not going to change. Obviously the value of L and A will change, and according to that the value of R will change, but rho will be a constant. Okay, so these are some basic concept from where we can understand what is R and what is rho. All this you have understood in class 10 also. You have derived this also, like from experiment R is proportional to L. You can, in book also you will find that from experiment R proportional to L, R proportional to A, and from there I can write R proportional to L by A or R equal to rho into L by A. Like this we have derived in class 10. Okay, and here also in general practice also we can do experiment. You can check, you don't change the area, don't change the material, okay, only change the length, and you will find that R will be proportional to length. If length is 2 centimeter, R will be less. If length is 4 centimeter, then R will be twice. So like area you can find by experiment. Sorry, it is R is inversely proportional to A. Okay, inversely proportional to A, and from there R is rho by L, or in the proportionality constant is known as rho. So this is what we learn in class 10, but here specifically if you want to identify what is that rho, how to find the rho of a particular material, then this is the method how we can find by using the. This is a very important concept, and for exam point of view also it is an important part. Okay. Now let us go to the units, dimensions and symbols for this resistance and this resistivity. Okay. Units of R we have written as V by I. So V unit, SI unit is volt, and for I it is ampere. So SI unit should be volt by ampere, but it is given a specific name as ohm and given symbol as this ohm. 1 ohm equal to 1 volt by 1 ampere. Or I can define 1 ohm as if in a conductor 1 ampere of current flows, when the potential difference is 1 volt, then the resistance of that material is known as 1 ohm. Like that I can define. And for AC unit, I can tell that for V it is start volt, and for I it is start ampere. Okay. So start volt by start ampere. No specific names are given to it. I can simply write it as start volt by start ampere as a unit of resistance. Now for a rho, what is rho? A rho expression I can write from here. R I have written as rho into L by A. So rho I can write as R into A by L. So R unit is ohm, A unit is meter square area of cross section, and L unit is meter. So these two will cancel out and the unit become ohm into meter. So the SI unit is ohm into meter, and the CGS unit or USC unit you can tell as start volt by start ampere into meter, or in sometimes we are going to measure it in ohm into centimeter also. Now dimensions for V, if you put the dimension, R dimension I can put by V dimension divided by A dimension. Okay. Now you remember the dimension of V, from where we are deriving the dimension of V. Don't have to mug up the dimensions. You just remember that V dimension we are deriving from here, W by Q naught, where W dimension is M1 L2 T minus 2 and Q naught is A1 T1. So from there we are deriving the dimension of V as M1 L2 T minus 3 A minus 1. Okay. Now take it and put it here. So V dimension is M1 L2 T minus 3 A minus 1 divided by current is a fundamental unit, so it is A1. So R dimension become M1 L2 T minus 3 A minus 2. Okay. So this is the dimension of R, and exactly by using the same formula you can dimension of R, you can find the dimension of rho also. Okay. Resistivity also. Now there is an experiment, means in lab how to find the resistance. In lab how to find the resistance of a given material, because the expression that we have written just before, that R equal to this expression we have just written in from I equal to NAVD expression, that R will be equal to M L divided by N E square A tau, or tau into A. But these quantities, these N, these tau, these calculate these quantities is a very difficult task in real life. To calculate the electron density and to calculate this relaxation time is a very difficult task in real life, and hence in lab we are not going to perform this or this expression, use this expression to find the value of R. How to find the value of R then? Okay, first let me tell what is the symbol of R. We have already know that symbol of R is this. This is how we are going to use the symbol. But this is not how the resistance looks like. Resistance I have already shown you initially how the real life resistance or carbon resistors looks like. Among means except that anywhere you take, that where is a resistance. Okay, because when electron flows, that will give you some resistance to those electrons. I will come to that point. Okay, but for now you remember that this is the symbol of resistance. So in in lab what we have to do is take this resistance, okay, and connect it with a battery. then here you connect an ammeter, okay, here or here, anywhere you can use an ammeter, and here you use a voltmeter. Okay, as we know that ammeter is always connected in series and voltmeter is always connected in parallel. Okay, so whatever why that is also there is a reason why, because in series current remains same. So whatever current will flow through this wire, the same amount of current will flow through this ammeter. Okay, so whatever reading you will get in this ammeter, that will give you the reading for current. Okay, and since they are in parallel, whatever potential difference is there across the resistor, the same potential difference will be there across the voltmeter. That is why voltmeter is connected in parallel and ammeter is connected in series. This we have learned in series and parallel connection, that current remains same in series connection and potential remains same in parallel connection. That is why this voltmeter is connected in parallel and this is in series. Now take the reading from here, the voltage reading, take the current reading from here, then just use R equal to V by I and you will get the value of resistance. Or you take a table, okay, first measure V and I, 2-3 times you take or 5 times you take the V and I readings, then divide them and you will find the value of R. Remember that if V changes, I also change. If V here also change, here I will be different. So in each case R and V and I have different value, but you will find that the R value will approximately same or theoretically it will be exactly same. So this is the experiment using which in lab we are going to find the value of resistance. Okay. Now let us understand what is the cause of resistance, means what actually this from where actually this resistance comes from. We have derived it from mathematics that this is resistance or this is resistance, but actually from where this resistance is coming. Resistance is nothing but to oppose. So when there is a conductor, as we learned in the last classes, that in conductor there are fixed molecules or ions are there, okay, and between not only this much, the density is very high, as I have explained in the last class, that the density is about 10 to the power 28 per meter cube. Okay, so and there are free electrons are here, and when the free electrons are moving, there is a potential difference also you have applied, and these free electrons are moving. Now when these free electrons are moving, they cannot move straight, they are going to move here, then here, then here, then here, like this. They are going to be striked again and again and again, and there are free electrons also, they also are going to be striked among each other. Okay, if this free electron is moving like this, then it may come here and strike with this electron, because there are infinite number, approximately infinite. 10 to the power 28 means it is very high number. So this, with this much free electrons, obviously there is a chance that the electrons will collide with each other, and also the electrons will collide with the molecules on ion. So there is not a free flow of electrons are there, and that resistance that is provided due to this collision, that resistance or that opposition is known as the resistance in the circuit. Okay, so resistance is nothing but the opposition the electrons, free electrons are getting while they are moving inside a conductor due to presence of these free electrons or these fixed molecules or the other free electrons, and this collision is very high, very large number of collisions are going to take place. I have told that because the density is this much high. Okay, so this is from where actually the collision actually comes. So remember that it is not possible that this resistance can be 0, because whatever material you take, this resistance must be there, because there must be some molecules are there must be some ions are there must be some free electrons are there. So whatever kind of resistance you may take, there must be some, whatever kind of material you take, there must be some resistance. It cannot be 0. Okay, in some cases we are going to neglect that because it is less, in some cases it is very high, but in no case in practice it can be 0. Okay, so that is one point we have to remember. Now there is another thing also there, that from this resistance or from the expression of resistivity, not resistance, from the expression of resistivity, which is a constant for one material, we can identify which is a good conductor and which is a bad conductor. Because if the resistance will be less, then obviously it will be a good conductor, because electron can flow freely. The less is the resistance, the free the electron are going to move. So if the resistance is less, then it is a good conductor, or if the resistivity is less, resistance depend upon area and length also, but it is better to tell if the resistivity is less, because on resistivity actually this term depends, m, n, e square and tau. So these terms depends upon resistivity, or resistivity depends upon this term, and these terms decide how the electrons are going to move. So if the resistivity is less, then the resistance will be automatically raised. From this expression I can tell if resistivity is less, R will be automatically less, and in that case we can tell that the material is a good conductor. But if the resistivity will be more, then R will be more, and we can tell that that material is a bad conductor. For example, let me write the resistivity of copper. For example, you don't have to remember all this, because there are infinite number of materials, infinite number of resistivity. Just for your knowledge, I am writing copper has a resistivity of 1.7 into 10 to the power minus 8 ohm into meter. Okay. So you can see that it is very less number, 10 to the power minus 8. So very less number. That is why copper is a very good conductor. And another thing we can take, let for glass. For glass, this conductivity can be written as, this resistivity can be written as 10 to the power 10 to 10 to the power 14 ohm meter. For glass, the resistivity is about 10 to the power 10 to 10 to the power 14 ohm meter. You check this variation. Here it is minus 8 and here it is 14. 10 to the power 10 to 10 to the power 14. So it is very high resistivity. So that is why the glass is an insulator and it is a conductor. Now there are some materials which are semiconductors. They have neither very high resistivity, neither very less resistivity. For example, if you take silicon. Silicon has a resistivity of 2300 ohm meter. Means it is neither very less like this, neither it is very high like this. It is in between these two, and silicon is a semiconductor. So in one line I can tell, if the conductivity is very high, it is an insulator. If the conductivity is very less, it is a conductor. And if the conductivity is neither very high nor very less, then it is an semiconductor. Okay. Now let us come to the next point. Now let us define another term which is known as conductivity. Conductivity, okay, and conductance. Let us define these two terms. I think we already learned it in class 10. Conductivity is nothing but the reciprocal of resistivity. Means conductivity symbol is sigma, that is nothing but 1 by rho, reciprocal of resistivity. And conductance, similarly conductance is nothing written as Z, and it is reciprocal of resistance. It means resistance was giving you an idea how much opposition a electron is getting. Resistivity also, it is giving an idea how much opposition an free electron is going to get inside a material. But this conductance and conductivity, the conductivity and conductance, they will give you an idea how much free the electrons are. That is why they are reciprocal. Exactly opposite of conductivity is opposite of resistivity, conductance is opposite of resistance. Means if an object is, I am telling that it is very high conductive or it has a very high conductance, then I can tell it has a very less resistance. Same thing, I am telling that in copper the electrons are getting very less resistance, means they are getting very less opposition. Or I can tell that they are a very high conductance, means they are very much free to move. So they are just reciprocal and opposite, and by using these two you can also find the units and dimensions of conductance and conductivity, conductance and conductivity. Now let me just write the dimension of Z, unit of Z. it is ohm, so G must be equal to what? Ohm inverse, but this ohm inverse is also known as MSO. Okay, it is also known as MSO, or another name is given, that is Siemens. Okay, so ohm inverse, same thing, ohm inverse has these two names, MHO, Mo or Siemens. Okay, that is ohm inverse. Similarly, resistivity has ohm into meter, so conductivity will be dimension have ohm inverse, meter inverse, or I can write it as MHO into meter inverse, or I can write it as Siemens into meter inverse. Anything you can write as units. Okay, now let us derive one thing, very important part, that is vector form of Ohm's law. Vector form of Ohm's law. Now, in the last class I have defined you one term, that is J or J vector or current density vector. We have defined it there, which is nothing but I divided by A vector. Okay, and what was the importance of J vector? I have told that J vector is nothing but it is a quantity which, by using which we can find the direction of current from an expression. Because current is a scalar, I cannot write I vector, I cannot show its direction in an equation, and hence there was a J vector. Okay, now to write, let us write this expression of Ohm's law, that R equal to V by I, by using this J vector. Okay, so let us start. I can write Ohm's law as V equal to I into R. Then again I can write it as I into rho into L by A, because R is nothing but rho into L by A, so this is V. Okay, or I can write it as this V is nothing but E into L, because we know that potential is nothing but electric field into the distance, the length, so it will be I into rho into L by A. Now this L and L are cancelling out. Now let me just make you understand why I am writing this V and why I am converting this V in terms of electric field, because V is potential, it is a scalar. Okay, so I am writing the vector from here, so I want some vectors, that is why I am converting it into terms of electric field, which is actually a vector. Okay, so now I can write it as E equal to I by A into rho. Now you can see here also I am getting a vector I by A. What is that? J. Now J is a vector, so I can write it as E equal to J into rho in scalar form. Now it is not a vector equation. Remember, this V equal to IR I cannot write in vector form, because V is a scalar, I is a scalar, R is a scalar. That is why I need to write the same expression by using some vectors, and I got that. In place of V, I have converted this V in terms of electric field, and I have converted this expression as I by A into rho. Now I by A is nothing but J. So E is a vector, J is a vector, although this is a scalar, but these two are vectors. So I can write now in vector form that E vector equal to sigma, rho into J vector. Now how I know that the direction of E vector and J vector will be same? Obviously it will be same, because in the last class we have learned that if the electric field will be along this direction, then the electrons will move along this direction. These are the electrons will move along this direction. Again we know if the electric field in this direction, then current will be in this direction, and if current will be in this direction, then obviously J vector will be in this direction, because the direction of J vector is always in the direction of current. Is it clear? E vector's direction is along this, so motion of electrons will be like this. If motion of electrons like this, current will be like this, and if current will be like this, J vector will be like this, because current and J vector will must have in the same direction. So finally I can tell that the direction of E vector and J vector are same. So if these two vectors are of the same direction, then obviously I can write E vector equal to rho into J vector. Okay, or I can write it like this also, E vector equal to I can write like this, J vector equal to 1 by rho into E vector, if I will take to this side. Okay, or I can write it as J vector equal to 1 by rho is nothing but sigma. Okay, so sigma into E vector. So same thing, E vector equal to rho into J vector, or J vector equal to sigma into E vector. Both are the vector form of Coulomb's, vector form of Ohm's law. Okay, so this is a very important derivation, although the derivation is not very lengthy or very difficult, but otherwise, but these final expressions are very much useful. Okay, now let us come to the next topic, where we will learn how this resistance and resistivity depends upon the temperature, because in the definition you said I have told you that resistance is defined as, or Ohm's law is defined for a particular temperature, means this V directly proportional to I or V equal to Ri, this is only applicable for constant temperature, or we can only tell V equal to Ri at constant temperature. Now let us understand why constant temperature, or let us write some expressions to know how the resistance and resistivity changes with temperature. Okay, temperature dependence of resistivity and resistance. Okay, actually resistivity depends on temperature, and accordingly if resistivity changes, resistance will change, and these changes are different in metals and in non-metals, or in metals and in insulators. Okay, in conductors or in metals, if temperature increases, we know that if temperature increases, then energy also will increase, energy of the particles will increase, particles or free electrons will increase. Okay, now increase, let me write, if this increase, this also increase. Now if this increase, energy of the particle increase, then the particle will move in more random motion, in more random motion. If they move in more random motion, then obviously number of collisions increases. It's a very simple thing. Yes or no? If temperature increases, energy increases means they will move here and there more randomly. If they will move more randomly, then obviously the number of collisions will increase. Now if the number of collisions will increase, then means inside the motion, during the motion, the number of collisions are increasing. Now if the number of collisions will increase, obviously there will be more opposition, and if more opposition, then obviously more resistivity. More opposition means what? More resistivity, and more resistivity means more resistance. This is an important 1 mark question actually. Why? If in metals, if temperature increases, resistance increases or resistivity increases. Why? You have to explain like this, not like this with arrow mark. You have to write in words. If temperature increases, the kinetic energy means here I am telling about the kinetic energy. The kinetic energy of the particles increases. Now if kinetic energy increases, their velocity will increase and they will move more randomly. So more random motion, more collision, more resistivity, more resistance. So this is the reason. Now we don't have the derivation how exactly the temperature and these are depending on, but we have to remember the final formula. Okay, if you want derivation, it is a higher class topic. I will tell you that sometimes later if you want, but for now you remember this formula, that rho equal to, or rho 2 equal to rho 1 whole into, this is rho 1 whole into 1 plus alpha into T2 minus T1. This is a general formula. And what does this formula tell? What are all these terms? Rho 2 is the resistivity at T2. Okay, you can write it as small t2 or t1 also, because not necessarily that it will be in absolute temperature, you can take it in degree Celsius also. So resistivity, rho 2 is nothing but resistivity at T2, and rho 1 is nothing but resistivity at T1. Resistivity at T1, and alpha is nothing but it is known as a constant, which is known as coefficient of coefficient of temperature, for resistance. Let me just check whether what is this term exactly known as temperature coefficient of resistivity. Coefficient of temperature for resistance, resistivity, or you can tell that it is temperature coefficient of resistivity, and it is a constant which depends upon the material. Okay, it depends upon the material. The material specific. Okay, so from this expression, by using this alpha value must be given for the material, and temperature from this much degree to this much degree changes, so that will be given, and initial rho will be given. You can find the value of rho 2, or you can, if any other term will be given, rho 2 rho 1 given, alpha may be asked to find, or like that you can use this expression. In this expression, in the same expression, if I will write in terms of resistivity, if I will write R, then also this expression will be correct. Means R2 will be equal to R1 whole into 1 plus alpha into T2 minus T1. We can prove this actually from here, but for now leave that proof part. You just remember that the same expression that we are writing for temperature changes of resistivity, I can write the same expression for temperature change in resistance also. Okay, and here I can write a special case. In this expression, okay, or in this expression, in if T1 equal to 0 degree Celsius, if you put T equal to 0 degree Celsius and T2 as T degree Celsius, if 1 is 0, I can put, why to write T1 and T2, let us write it T itself, only T, then I can write this expression as rho equal to rho naught into 1 plus alpha T. Same expression you can see, the same expression here, only I am taking this T1 as 0 and T2 as T, then this rho 1 can be written as rho at 0 degree Celsius, and rho 2 I can write it as rho, or rho T, rho at T degree Celsius. Okay, or this expression I can write as RT equal to R naught into 1 plus alpha T. Okay, where alpha is coefficient of temperature coefficient of resistivity, T is the final temperature, and initial temperature here is 0. So, R naught is the temperature at resistance at 0 degree Celsius, and RT is the resistance at T degree Celsius. So, these are the expressions which we can use to find the temperature dependence. Okay. Now, let us say what happens if it is an insulator. For insulators, remember, if temperature increases in insulators or in semiconductors, if temperature increases, okay, then the number of free electrons will increase. Number of free electrons will increase. Okay, and if the number of free electrons will increase, then obviously the current will increase, and if current, I am telling that current will increase, then obviously means I can tell current increases, or I am writing resistance decreases. Now the question is, sir, there if temperature increase, why the number of free electrons will not increase? Increase. In metals also, if the temperature increases, number of free electrons also will increase. But the difference is that there the number of free electrons are already very high, very high. In metals, the number of free electrons are already very high. So the change in the number of free electrons is not going to be very much large. Okay, rather, since they are very high, their random motion will be much more effective than the increase in the free electrons. There also increase in free electron is there also random motion is there. Here also number of free electrons will increase and random motion will increase. But the difference is that in that case the number of free electrons were already very high, and that is not going to affect, means that is not that much increases as compared to the random motion, means the effect of random motion will suppress the effect of increase in the free electrons. But here there is very few number of free electrons are there, so the number of collisions is not that much high. Here the current is less due to the very less number of free electrons, but if temperature increases, the electrons will get more thermal energy and they will come out of the atoms. Now if they will come out of the atoms, they will become free electrons, and those are now charge carriers, means those free electrons now can carry the current. So here also random motion will increase, but here the effect of random motion of the free electrons is suppressed by the effect of increase in the number of free electrons. I think this point is clear. So here I can tell that if temperature increases, resistance decreases. Okay, and the expression which gives the which gives the dependence between the temperature and the resistance and resistivity is this: rho 2, or I can write rho T equal to rho naught into e to the power Eg by kBT. I will just explain it what are all these, or I can write rho 2 equal to rho 1 into e to the power Eg by kBT. Similarly, you can write the expressions for R. Just replace this rho with R and you will get the expression. Now what is this Eg is? This Eg is energy gap, and this part we will learn in the topic of electronics. In semiconductors we are going to learn what is energy gap. For now just remember the expression. You are not going to face any numerical now based on this number, and this Kb is nothing but Boltzmann's constant. This is Boltzmann's constant. Okay, so and all the things are same. Rho naught is the T is the temperature, rho naught is the temperature at 0 degree Celsius, and rho naught is the resistivity, yes, is the resistivity at 0 degree Celsius, and rho T is the resistivity at T degree Celsius. Similarly, rho 1 is the resistance at resistivity at temperature 1, and rho 2 is the resistivity at temperature 2, and here it is actually Kb T2 minus T1. Okay, but these expressions we are not going to use now. These expressions can be used when we will learn more about energy gap and these Boltzmann constants in the electronics chapter, while we will learn about semiconductors and electronics. Okay, for now the previous part, that the temperature dependence of resistance in metals or in conductors, is a important part. Okay, now let us come to the limitation of Ohm's law. Limitations of Ohm's law. Remember, in physics there are all the laws, means most of the laws have some limitation. There is no such law which is applicable everywhere. There are some limits, there are some restrictions on application of the laws. Similarly here on Ohm's law also. What is the limitation? First limitation is that Ohm's law cannot be applicable at very high temperature. Means, see, we know that V directly proportional to I or V equal to Ri. This expression, if we will draw the graph V versus I graph, if you are taking V along this direction and I along this direction, what you should get? A straight line, because V is directly proportional to I. And this straight line you will get, means experiment, if you will do this V versus I graph, you will get it a straight line unless the temperature is less. If the temperature is very high, if you do a experiment in lab and you leave the current for you let the current pass for a very long time, and we know if the current passes for a very long time, this expression we know, H equal to I square RT, some amount of heat will generate and it will increase the temperature of the conductor. Now once the temperature increases to a higher level, at that point this Ohm's law is not going to be valid. Okay, if the temperature goes to for a very higher higher temperature, this Ohm's law will not vary, and it will at that time it will vary like this. Means for higher temperature, or you can also tell for higher current, because if current increases then the heat also will increase. For very high amount of current, the Ohm's law will not vary linearly, or R will not be equal, V will not be equal to R into I. V not directly proportional to I, because if it will be directly proportional, we should get a straight line. But in application you can see, or in lab you can see, when you do the experiment, if current value is very high, then this expression will be, or if the voltage value is very high, then current will not directly proportional. And this kind of materials are known as non-ohmic materials. The materials which obey Ohm's law, or till the temperature up to which it obeys Ohm's law, those are known as ohmic material or ohmic conductor. When the material on the object does not follow Ohm's law, at that point we can tell it as a non-ohmic material. Okay, I am not writing the theories, you have to write it down either by listening the video or from your book. Okay, in just one line. What is the limitation? This is the first limitation. And the second limitation is that for semiconductors, if I will draw the graph, okay, here actually I am drawing I versus V graph due to some reason that we will explain in the semiconductor chapter. Here also you should get a straight line, but here what I am going to get is this kind of graph. Okay, this is minus V and this is minus I. Means for positive potential you will get that it will be 0 for some time, then it will increase. Okay, it will not increase linearly from the starting point, it will first 0, then it will increase non-linearly, then after some time it will increase linearly. And here if the polarity will change, or if we apply negative potential, then the current will be, it will increase for a very small amount, then it will remain constant. You can see this part, what is happening at this part, you are increasing the V, okay, but the current is remaining constant. Where it should not happen, because I know V directly proportional to I, but in this case V is not directly proportional to I. Here also you can see, you are increasing the potential, but the current is remaining 0 for this part. Okay, so these parts, these are just indicating that always V is not directly proportional to I, and this is for a semiconductor. For a semiconductor, V is not at all directly proportional to I, except some particular values. Okay, for this value, for here, for this small portion, you can get that V is directly proportional to I. Otherwise, here you see, you are increasing the value of V, current is constant. You are increasing the value of V, current is 0. You are increasing the V value, current is increasing, but not in a linear manner. So these are the limitations. Ohm's law is not applicable everywhere. There are some limitations. For metals also it is not applicable every time, or for every temperature, or for every voltage. There is a limit up to which Ohm's law is completely applicable. After that it deviates, or in semiconductor also, it is very less chance that V will be directly proportional to I, or very less limits are there inside which the V is directly proportional to I. So these are the limitations of Ohm's law. Okay, in higher classes actually you will learn something about superconductivity, which is actually comes from the limitations of Ohm's law, and there also you will learn that under the superconductivity case, or at the when the temperature is at critical temperature, then the Ohm's law is not at all means followed. Okay, so that will be a part of the higher classes. For now, let us just remember these two limitations and note it down from the book or from the words that I am telling. Okay, now let us come to solve some numericals based on the formulas that we derived today. We first read out the question. You have to write the question first completely, then I will explain the answer. A hollow copper tube of 5 meter length has got external diameter equal to 0.1 meter. Okay, a hollow copper tube of 5 meter length has got an external diameter, okay, external diameter 0.1 meter, and the walls are 5 mm thick. The walls are 5 mm thick. If the resistivity of copper, okay, if the resistivity of copper is 1.7 into 10 to the power minus 8 ohm meter, calculate the resistance of the tube. Okay, so what are given? A hollow tube is given, a hollow cylinder made up of copper, that is given. Let me just show you the hollow cylinder like this. Okay, this is one kind of hollow cylinder. It is hollow and cylindrical. And what are given? This length is given as 5 meter. This length is 5 meter. Okay, external diameter means from here to here. Okay, this complete external diameter is 0.1 meter. Okay, and the walls, these walls are of, this wall, let me write it as T, these are of 5 mm thickness. 5 mm, I can write it as 5 into 10 to the power minus 3 meter, and its resistivity is given, and we have to find the resistance of the material. Write down the question properly first. Okay, so what is the resistance? Resistance formula, R equal to rho into L by A. So rho is given, L is also given. Just what I have to do is to find the value of A. What is A? Remember, A is not the total area. A is the area of cross section. Now what will be area of cross section? For that, I can imagine that you cut this cylinder, the cylindrical part, you cut it from here and you make it straight. So what kind of diagram you will get? Just to let you know how to find this area of cross section. If you will cut it and if you will make it straight, I think some kind of this kind of diagram I can explain with you. This will be that thickness, this will be somewhat more lengthy. Okay, like this, it will be somewhat more lengthy. Okay, if you will cut it and make it flat. Now what is this? This part is that L part. Okay, and this thickness will be the T part. Okay, and external diameter, what is the external diameter was? This 0.1. Now what will be this length then? Because this total length will be 2 pi r. So from here, let it is r. Okay, this external diameter is let r. So from here to here, this length, this will be 2 into pi into r. If you cut it and stretch it, this total length is 2 pi r. So this will be 2 pi r. Okay, you just imagine, try to imagine it. Now what is the area of cross section? This is how the wire is connected here. You have to find the area of cross section of this part. So what is the area of cross section? This part, this is the area of cross section. Okay, so this area of cross section I can write. Now it is a rectangle. Okay, rectangle of length 2 pi r and thickness T. So what is the area of cross section here? This area of cross section can be given by 2 pi r into T. I think if this is clear, now it is a direct formula question. R will be equal to rho into L divided by 2 pi r into T. Rho is given, L is given, 2 is constant, pi 3.14, R is given, it is diameter given. Okay, from here it is actually diameter. So from here you have to write the radius as 0.05 meter. So from here you have to find the radius, that is 0.05 meter. So that is also given, and T is also given as 5 mm or 5 into 10 to the power minus 3 meter. Put all these and you find the answer. Do it and do the calculation, complete it and write it down on the board. Okay. Now let us come to the next question. Let us come to the question number 2. And first write down the question. The question is given: an arc lamp or a lamp, you can write simply, and a lamp operates at 80 volt comma 10 ampere. Okay, operates at 80 volt comma 10 ampere. Suggest a method to use it with a 240 volt DC or with a 240 volt external potential. You can write 240 volt external potential. Okay, calculate the value of electric component required for this purpose. Okay, so let me again read it out. A lamp operates at 80 volt comma 10 ampere. Suggest a method to use it with a 240 volt external potential. First up, calculate the value of the electric component required for this purpose. Okay. So after writing the question, let us first understand what do you mean, what is the meaning of this question, what is it is asked to do. There is a lamp which can operate at 80 volt, means if it is operating at 80 volt, how much current is passing through it is 10 ampere. There is a lamp like this, 80 volt comma 10 ampere, means if you give or if you operate it with 80 volt, a 10 ampere of current will pass through it. But you want to use it and the maximum volt with which it can work is 10 or 80 volt. If you give more than that potential, then it will burst or it will simply burn. So, but I want to use it with a 240 volt potential. Okay, 240 volt potential I want to use. Now the question is how you will use, because if you directly connect this 240 volt with the lamp, then it will burn. So what electric component you should use here so that the lamp will operate correctly. Okay, so to find the answer, let us first find the value of R, because see, I already told that V value can change, I value can change, but R value is going to be constant. So let us first find what is the resistance of the lamp is. R will be equal to V by I. So what is the V value here? 80, and what is the I value here is 10. So what is the R value? 8 ohm. Okay, and this is going to be constant. Whatever potential you apply, whatever current you may pass, but the resistance is not going to change. So resistance is 8 ohm here. Now I want to use how much volt here? 240 volt. So now my V dash is not, now my potential is not 80. Now my V dash, let the potential I am writing as V dash, and that is now 240 volt. And R will be same. So R will be equal to R dash, because R cannot change. So now this R dash will be equal to same 8 ohm. Is it clear? And what will be the maximum current it can withstand? The maximum current it can withstand, okay, is I dash, that will be equal, no, R dash is actually not, it is not, don't write it, I will tell you why not. I dash, how much it can withstand is 10 ampere. Now I am not giving 80 volt, I am giving 240 volt, but the maximum current it can withstand, if the current will more than 10 ampere, then it will burn. So what is the maximum current it can withstand is 10 ampere. Now with these two, let us check what should be the resistance of the lamp. We cannot change the resistance of the lamp, but let us first find what should be the resistance in this case. So from here I can find that R dash must be V dash by I dash, or 240 by 10 or equal to 24 ohm. Now the resistance of the lamp is 8 ohm, but to use it with 240 volt, what should be the resistance? 24 ohm. And I cannot change the resistance. So what I will do? Now I will use another resistance. Okay, if this is the lamp, okay, let I am using the lamp here of how much ohm? 8 ohm. Okay, then I may use another resistance here. Okay, so that with a 240 volt external source and the current equal to 10 ampere. So here I have to use another resistance. Let me write it as R external. Okay, so this total resistance must be how much? 24 ohm, because I cannot change the resistance of this. Now you know in class 10 how to do these two are in series. If these two are in series, then I can write that R dash or the total resistance will be equal to this 8 ohm, this resistance plus R external, because in series resistance are simply going to be added. So here I can write R external, or this R dash is equal to 24, let me like this, 24 equal to 8 per R external, or I can write R external equal to 24 minus 8, or imply that R external will be equal to 16 ohm. This is the value of R external. Okay, so initially the resistance was 8 ohm. Now we need the resistance as 24 ohm, but we cannot change the resistance of the lamp, so we have used an external resistance of 16 ohm. So what we should use as a what the question was, the value of the electric component required for this purpose. So what is the electric component? An external resistance of 16 ohm, that we have to connect with the in the circuit or in series with the lamp, so that it can withstand the 240 volt without fuse. Is this part clear? Now let us come to the next part. Okay, next question. Again let me read out the question. You would write it, then you can start solving. The question is like this: find the resistivity of a conductor. Okay, find the resistivity of a conductor. It is asking the value of rho, in which the current density is given by 2.5 ampere per meter square. You don't write like this in the question, you write it completely, in which the current density is 2.5 ampere per meter square, when an electric field of 15 volt per meter is applied on it. Okay, let me again write it, again read it. Find the resistivity of a conductor in which current density of 2.5 ampere per meter square is found to exist, comma, when an electric field of 15 volt per meter is applied on it. Okay, now it is a direct formula. As we know, in the vector form of Ohm's law, these three terms are connected. And what is that? In vector form, we have written that E equal to J into rho, or rho into J. So in that formula, you use it and find the value of rho. Direct question. Okay, E is given, J is given, just find the value of rho. So rho will be equal to E by J. Put these values here. Everything is given in SI unit, so the answer will come in SI unit, that is ohm into meter. So very direct question, you solve it and find the answer. Okay, now let us come to the next question. Let me read it out first, you write it, then we can solve. A wire has a resistance of 16 ohm. A wire has a resistance of 16 ohm. It is melted and drawn into a wire of half of its length. Okay, originally it was of length L, now it is melted and the new wire is of length, let it is L1 and R1, now L2 will be equal to L1 by 2. This complete wire is melted and it is drawn into a wire of half of the length. Calculate the resistance of the new wire and also find the percentage change in its resistance. Okay, again let me read. A wire of resistance of 16 ohm, a wire has a resistance of 16 ohm, it is melted and drawn into a wire of half of its length. Calculate the resistance of the new wire, what is the percentage change in its resistance. Now remember that, okay, so by looking the question I can just write like this. R1 initially 16 ohm, length was let L1, finally the length was L1 by 2, find R2. But here you have to be careful, when a wire is melted and the new wire is made, it is not possible that only the length will change. Okay, so read the question again and be very careful that the same wire is melted and the length made half. If the length is made half, if the wire is like this, there is a wire like this, you have melted and from the complete melted part you have made a wire of half length, half. So obviously the area of cross section will change or not? It will be thick wire because the complete volume is used here. So if the length became half, obviously the area of cross section will change. So first let us change what was the area of cross section initially and what is the area of cross section finally. How to find that? Let it has a volume of V and obviously it will have the same volume. Let it is V dash, but these two are the same. V must be equal to V dash because volume cannot change, you have just melted it. So V equal to V dash means I can write L1 into A1 length into area of cross section, that is nothing but volume, equal to L2 into A2, or from here I can write L1 by L2 equal to A2 by A1, or I can write L1 by 2 because L2 is nothing but L1 by 2 equal to A2 by A1. If these two will cancel out, I can write A2 will be equal to 2A1. Okay, so I have to write it that A2 will be equal to 2A1. This is the important part in this question. That students forgot that sometimes they are used to forget that if the same thing is melted and the length became half, the area also will be twice. The area cannot same. So that part you have to find it here. Now the question is very simple. Just you find R1, you write R1 expression, that will be rho into L1 by A1, and R2 will be equal to again rho into L2 by A2. Why I have not changed the rho value? Because the material is not changed. The same material is melted and prepared the second wire. So since the material is not changed, rho value will not change. Now just divide them. I can find R1 by R2 equal to L1 by L2 into A2 by A1, or I can write R1 by R2 equal to L1 divided by L1 by 2 into A2, I can write it as 2A1 divided by A1. Now these are cancelling out, these are cancelling out, and R1 by R2 will be equal to 4, or I can write R2 equal to R1 by 4. R2 will be equal to R1 by 4. So this is the answer. Okay. Now what was R1? R1 value is also given 16 ohm. So let us put that. It will be 4 ohm. This is the answer. Okay. Now the question is what is the change in percentage? So obviously percentage change I can find as R1 minus R2 divided by R1. Change in the resistance divided by original resistance. So it will be 16 minus 4 by 16, or into 100 also, percentage it is asked, so into 100. So into 100, okay, so, or I can write it as percentage change equal to 12 by 16 into 100, or it is equal to 75%. So this is the change in the percentage of resistance. Okay, so this only this part is important here, or this concept is important here. You have to remember that it is given that only the length is changed by somehow, or it is a complete different wire having half length, or the same wire is melted and prepared the another wire. Remember, if the question is there are two wires, one wire is having half length of the other, then you don't have to do this. But if the same wire is melted and prepared another wire, then obviously you have to think the area change in area also. Okay. Now let us come to the next question. Next question is also a similar type of question as we have done in the previous question. The question, let me read it out. The resistance of a wire is R ohm, capital R. The resistance of a wire is R ohm. What will be the new resistance if it is stretched to n times its original length? Okay. If the wire is stretched to n times its original length. So exactly same type of question. Initially let the resistance is R, area or R1, area is A1 and length is L1. And finally let the resistance is R2, area is A2 and the length is L2. Okay. But since I can write it, since the whatever if the wire is stretched, if there is a wire, if it is a wire and I have stretched it, the volume is not going to change. Obviously it will be thinner, area of cross section will change but the volume will not change. Exactly same question as we have done before, but it is just in terms of some symbols, not in number. Okay, so V1 will be equal to V2, volume is not going to change, so A1 into L1 equal to A2 into L2, or I can write A1 by, or let me write it like this, A2 by A1 equal to L1 by L2. Let us just simply keep it like this. Okay, now write down these two expressions. R1 will be equal to rho into L1 by A1 and R2 equal to rho into L2 by A2. Now simply divide it, these two will cancel out, again they are same because the same material is there, or I can write R1 by R2 equal to L1 by L2 into A2 by A1. Okay, but here, okay, one thing I can write here, actually here I can write A2 by A1 equal to L1 by n L1. Why? Because the length is n times stretched, it is stretched to n times of the initial length. So I can write it like this, or it will be equal to 1 by n. Is it clear? So I can write from here A2 by A1 equal to 1 by n and A2 by A1 equal to L1 by L2. So both are going to be 1 by n. Is it clear? A2 by A1 equal to L1 by L2, but L2 is nothing but n into L1. So this is nothing but 1 by n. Now if A2 by A1 is 1 by n, then obviously A2 by A1 equal to L1 by L2 will be equal to 1 by n. Now if you put these values, L1 by L2 equal to 1 by n and A2 by A1 also equal to 1 by n, then you will get R1 by R2 equal to how much? 1 by n square, 1 by n into 1 by n, or I can write R2 will be equal to R1 into n square. Or if it is given as in terms of R, in the question actually it is not given R1, it is given as R. So you can write the final expression as R dash equal to, or R2 equal to R into n square, not R1, R into n square, like this you can write. Okay, we read out now let us question number 5. The question is given like this: a size of carbon, the size of a carbon block is 1 centimeter into 1 centimeter into 50 centimeter. Full stop. If it's find its resistance, first bit between the opposite square faces, second bit between the opposite rectangular faces. Okay, full stop. The resistivity of carbon is given as 3.5 into 10 to the power minus 5 ohm centimeter. Okay, so there is a block like this. The question is the dimensions are given as 1 centimeter into 1 centimeter into 50 centimeter. Okay, it is not in proportion, it should be actually 50 times of this. So just imagine that it is 50 centimeter is 1 and 1. First bit is find the resistance between the square faces. This is a square face because 1 into 1, so this is a square face. So this and this, find the resistance between these two faces. And the second bit is find the resistance between the rectangular faces. This is one rectangular face because it is 1 and it is 50. So it is 50 into 1. So this is a rectangular face and this is a rectangular face. Find the resistance between these two surfaces. Now what is the formula of R? Okay, now let me first write this resistance in, resistivity in SI unit. It will be into this much into 10 to the power 2 ohm into meter. Okay, or I can write it as rho equal to 3.5 into 10 to the power minus 3 ohm meter. This is in SI unit. Okay, so in this bit R is asked. What is formula of R? R equal to rho into L by A. But remember, this A is area of cross section, very important. That is the important point in, that is the only point actually in this question. A means area of cross section, and while you are moving from this side to this side, from like this, if you are moving, obviously this is your area and this is your length. But if you are moving from this wire, this I am showing that these two wires are connected, one wire is here, one wire is here, and when the current will pass, how much resistance this will provide. So if the current is passing like this, what is the area of cross section? This. And what is the length it is going to pass? This much. But if the wires are connected like this on these rectangular surfaces, then what is this area of cross section? This. The current is passing through this. So this is the area of cross section and this is the length. So that is the only change here. So here R can be found as rho is 3.5 into 10 to the power minus 3 into L is this much, means how much? 50 centimeter, or 50 into 10 to the power minus 2 meter, divided by area is 1 into 1 centimeter square, or into 10 to the power minus 4 meter square. Okay. Now just solve it, you will find the value of R as 0.175 ohm. You can solve and you can find the answer. This is the first bit. Now what we will do for the second bit? Exactly same thing, but the rho, the L into L and A value will change. Rho will be same. What is L here? Current is now passing like this. So how much distance, how much length it is going to pass? This distance. That is how much? It is given as this distance is 1 centimeter. So here the L is 1 centimeter or this much meter, divided by area. Area is this much. This rectangle cross sectional area is this much. How much it is? 50 into 1 centimeter square, or into 10 to the power minus 4 meter square. Okay. So now you solve it, you will get the value of R as 7 into 10 to the power minus 5 ohm. So you can see the same block, but they can provide different resistance. If you connect between these two surface, the resistance will be this much. Okay, very high means as compared to this, and between if these two surface, the resistance is going to be very less. Why it is happening? See, here length is very much large and area is small. Here area is large but length is small, and R is directly proportional to L. So if L is more, R will more. If A is less, R will more. So both the things are happening here. L is also more and A is also small. So that is why R you are getting a larger value, and in this case R is a smaller value. This is a very important conceptual question, and only one point or one line I can conclude from this question, that here A in the expression of R, that A is not area, that is area of cross section. That small point you can solve this question. Okay. Now let us come to the next question. Next question, actually I am giving you as assignment, question number 6. This I am giving you an assignment, just note it down. A uniform wire is cut into 4 segments. A uniform wire is cut into 4 segments. Each segment is twice as long as the earlier segment. Each segment is twice as long as the earlier segment. If the shortest segment has a resistance of 4 ohm, find the resistance of the original wire. Okay. Again let me read out. A wire is cut into 4 segments. Each segment is twice as long as the earlier segment. Okay. Let me just explain you what does it mean. It means there is a wire. Okay, I am not going to solve. You will only solve, but I am just explaining the question. A wire is there. It is cut into 4 segments in such a way that each segment is twice is twice as long as the earlier segment. It means if this length is L, then this length will be 2L, this length will be 4L, and it is not in proportion, this length is going to be 8L. Okay. So this is the complete wire. Okay, and how it is cut? 4 segment. First segment is of length L, second segment is of length 2L, third segment 4L, fourth segment 8L. So like this it is cut. Okay, that is the meaning of the first line. And it is given that the shortest segment has a resistance of 4 ohm. So what is the resistance of the original wire? What was the resistance of this wire? Very direct question. I have told you what is the meaning of the question also. You just try to solve it and find the answer. Okay. Now let us come to the next question, which depends upon or which based on the question of temperature dependence of the resistance. Okay. Let me first read out it. You note it down, then you can solve. Okay. The question is, the resistance of a conductor at a 20 degree Celsius, the resistance, okay, this is the next question, question number 7. The resistance of a conductor at 20 degree Celsius, let me write it as R2 and or R1 as is 3.15 ohm and T1 is how much? 20 degree Celsius. And at 100 degree Celsius, means when T2 equal to 100 degree Celsius, R2 becomes 3.75 ohm. Determine the temperature coefficient of the resistance of the conductor. Determine the temperature coefficient of the resistance of the conductor. What will be the resistance of the conductor at 0 degree? First question is what is the value of alpha. Second question is what is the resistance at 0 degree. Okay, for your note, let me write it down, let me read it out again. The resistance of a conductor at a 20 degree Celsius is 3.15 ohm and at 100 degree Celsius 3.75 ohm. Determine the temperature coefficient of resistance of the conductor and what will be the value of resistance at 0 degree Celsius. So, this is the question I have written in mathematical form. Now, it is very direct question actually, because we know the formula R2 equal to R1 whole into 1 plus alpha into T2 minus T1. So, R1 is given, T1, T2, R2, everything is given. Okay, you have to find the value of alpha. Now, let us first write the expression alpha, then we will put the values to find the answer. So, I can write it as R2 equal to R1 plus, okay, I am just multiplying this R1 with this alpha R1 into T2 minus T1, or I can write R2 minus R1 equal to alpha R1 into T2 minus T1, or I can write alpha equal to, take this part to this side, it will be R2 minus R1 divided by R1 whole into T2 minus T1. So, this is the expression of alpha. Now, everything is given, you just take it from there and put in the expression to find the answer. Okay. So, do this part I am giving it to you. Okay. Just put it, all these value you put and you find the value of alpha. Okay. That is the first thing you have to do. Now, what is the next part? Once you find the value of alpha, then also we know another formula, that R equal to, okay, let me just write down the answer. If you solve it, you will get the the alpha value as 2.4 into 10 to the power minus 4 degree Celsius inverse. Remember the unit of alpha is degree Celsius inverse, degree Kelvin inverse, like that. Okay, you just put the value, calculate yourself and then find the answer. Don't just copy. Now, R naught value is asked. Another formula you know, that R equal to R naught into 1 plus alpha into T, RT equal to. So, let us take this one, this T1 as T as 20 degree, RT as 3.15 and R naught value is asked. So, RT temperature resistance at T degree. If I am taking T as 20 degree, then RT become 3.15 and R naught is asked 1 plus alpha value we got from here 2.4 into 10 to the power minus 4 into T. T is how much? 20. Okay, in this formula R naught is the resistance at 0 degree and RT is the resistance at T degree. So, either you take this as T and this as RT, or you take this as T and this as RT, and then put in the formula, use the value of alpha and you calculate the value of R naught. From here, if you calculate, you will find the value of R naught as 3.13 ohm. You do the calculation by yourself and find the answer. It will come as 3.13 ohm. So this is the question. Now let us write the last question of today's class, and we will finish the class with that. The question, let me first read it out, then you can write. Okay, then we can solve the question. Potential difference of 200 volt is applied at a coil at a temperature of 15 degrees Celsius and the current is 10 ampere. This is the first line. What will be the mean temperature of the coil when the current has fall to 5 ampere? Then what will be this temperature of the coil, the applied voltage being the same as before? So the voltage is same, 200 volt. Okay, and alpha value is given as 1 by 234 degree Celsius inverse. Okay, let me again read it out. A potential difference of 200 volt is applied to a coil at 15 degrees Celsius and the current is 10 ampere. What will be the mean temperature of the coil when the current has fallen to 5 ampere, the applied voltage being the same as before, given alpha equal to 1 by 234 degrees Celsius inverse. Okay, degree Celsius inverse at 0 degrees Celsius. Degree Celsius inverse at 0 degrees Celsius. This is the question. Okay, now let us write the answer. Here, remember that alpha value is not given at 15 degrees Celsius or at the new temperature. Means you cannot directly use for 15 degree alpha at 15 degree. You cannot write the expression for here and use the expression of alpha, because alpha value is given at 0 degrees Celsius. Now for this I have to, okay, from here first let me find what is the resistance. Okay, for this case what will the resistance is going to be, or R1 I can write it as, R1 will be equal to V1 by I1, or I can write it as 200 by 10 or equal to 20 ohm, and from here I can write R2 will be equal to V2 by I2, this is V2, this is I2, and it will be equal to 200 by 5 or equal to 40 ohm. Okay. Now remember, alpha value is not given at this temperature or at this temperature. So alpha value I can only use in the expression where the initial temperature is taken as 0 degree. So let me write it first. If for this expression, if I write, the expression is this general expression, RT equal to R naught into 1 plus alpha T. So if I will take this temperature as T and this resistance as RT, then I can write the expression as how much, 20 equal to R naught, that we don't know, 1 plus this alpha is 1 by 234 and T is 15. Okay, this is the first expression, or let me arrange it and write it as 20 equal to R naught into 1 plus 15 by 234. This is the expression 1. Now let me write the same expression for this case. For this case, if I will write this I have done for this. Now for this case, if I will write the same expression, if I write, now RT is how much, 40, and that will be equal to R naught into 1 plus alpha is 1 by 234 and temperature is not known. So let the temperature is T, that we want to find out. Okay, so I can write it as 40 equal to R naught whole into 1 plus T by 234. This is equation 2. Is it clear why I am writing these two in terms of R naught and R naught? Why I am not writing R2 equal to this formula? Why I am not using R2 equal to R1 whole into 1 plus alpha into T2 minus T1? Be clear why I am not using here. Because alpha here is not given for 15 degrees Celsius. Here the alpha is given for 0 degrees Celsius. That is why I am bound to write these two expressions for these two cases. Now once you got equation 1 and 2, simply equation 1 divided by equation 2, and you can see this, all this term R naught will cancel out and the remaining thing will be there. which there will be only one unknown on t. You solve it, you will get the answer. So 20 by 40 will be equal to, if this r naught and r naught will cancel out, and the remaining will be 1 by 15 by 234 divided by 1 plus t by 234. Okay, and you solve it, and if from here if you solve, completely do all the steps. I will check in your copy whether you have done all the steps or not. If you solve, you will get t value as 264 degrees Celsius. 264 degrees Celsius. Completely solve it and find the answer. Okay, so that's all for today. We will meet in the next class with some new topic. Thank you and be safe.